Okay, so this is the Precambrian. This is below the Precambrian contact that we were looking at here just a few minutes ago. Right here, this is a quartz pebble conglomerate, and this material, if you can see, is mainly quartz pebbles of different sizes caught up in a matrix, and then it's all metamorphic, so it's got mostly like a quartzite type of a cement that's cementing it. And then there happens to be some fine-grained schists and philites in here, down here. So these are the philitic materials. So in fact, if you can kind of see here, this part right here is a philite, and then here's a quartz pebble conglomerate right above it. And if you see this, the mica is in here, you can see they're green. Okay, and that is a variety of muscovite that is a chromium mica, so chrome, and it's called Fuxite. And it's quite common right here. This piece right here is also the Fuxite, the green, and it's all over through here. So let's bang on this quartz pebble conglomerate and see what we see. If I can stand up here without falling. So it breaks. Fuxite is everywhere in here, so the cement, if you will, the material, the matrix between the quartz cobbles, so there's quartz cobbles in here. All these hard resistant pieces here that stand out in relief are quartz cobbles, and inside the matrix is all this mica, Fuxite mica, that's green in there. And we'll take a look at this as well in the microscope. So this is just quartz cobbles, and still pretty hard stuff. But when it breaks, it mainly breaks on, you can see that color, that nice green in there from the Fuxite, and then the quartz cobbles are in here. So we'll take this piece with us and take a look at this in the microscope later. This is the Fuxite sample, and you can see the green sheen all across the surface in here, encapsulating. Here's green down here with these quartzite cobbles, pebbles in between, large one in here, over on the edge over here, smaller ones all through the body of it. So this is a pebble conglomerate, quartzite pebbles with Fuxite matrix. Okay, we are further down into the Precambrian here. So we were at the Precambrian contact a while back in the quartzite, and then we saw the quartz pebble conglomerate with the Fuxite, and now we're in this very dark, we'll get up on, bang on it here in a minute, but it's very, very a hard, resistant rock. You can see that it's highly fractured, and it's got very, very, very smooth fracture surfaces, which speaks to how brittle and how hard the rock is. So under stress, it fractured and breaks in these very, very straight, kind of linear fractures in here. There's several sets of them through here. Okay, very, very hard rock. So we'll go up here and take a look at it here. So quartz veins in here. A lot of these fractures have been filled with quartz. So there's quartz veins in here. But this again is going to be very hard rock. If you recall, the quartzite, when you hit it with the hammer, it kind of had a ring to it, and the hammer would bounce back. Same as this, very, very, very hard. Okay, so this is a, it's kind of green. It's got a green color to it. Okay, and again, we'll take a sample of this. We'll look at it in the microscope. But you can see the fractures in here. Very, very, very clean surfaces, very smooth, very, very linear. So this rock was very brittle, and under the stresses during the uplift of the Black Hills, this rock was fractured, and that's what we see here. So let's take a look, see if we can get a piece to come off. There, I see something breaking. Okay, not very much, but we don't need very much. Okay, so you can see a quartz, got part of the quartz vein in here. And then this kind of green rock. I'm going to take a look in my hand lens, see what we can see here. Okay, so this is crystalline. Again, it's very dark grains, black and green. So this is a mafic rock. It probably composed primarily of iron and magnesium minerals. We'll hang on to this. We'll take a look at it in the microscope. And this is the minerals in here. The primary mineral in here is amphibelite and amphiboles, and so that this is an amphibelite, makes this an amphibelite. So how did this start out? Well, this started its life out as basalt, and it was extruded in the subsea as a undersea flow of basalt from a, look at that just broke right on a fracture right there. Look at that. So look at those edges there. It's like someone took a saw and cut that. Okay, so you could polish these things up and make a very heavy bookend out of this right here. Okay, but this started out in the deep sea as a submarine basalt flow. And basalt is mafic. It's a mafic material. And when it is metamorphosed, and this metamorphism occurred at least by 1.5 billion years ago, and I'll talk more in other videos about the exact age and timing of these units in here. So for those who might be familiar with the Black Hills a little bit, we're in the Nemo district, and we'll look more on the formative history of this, look at these rocks. But let's talk about protolith. The protolith is what the rock originally was prior to metamorphism. And so the protolith of this amphibelite was basalt. Again, a submarine basalt flow, and then metamorphosed, and it is now this amphibelite. Very, very, very durable, very tough, and it's very dark. It's a mafic rock. It's heavy, heavier than a normal sedimentary rock for this size. This is very heavy. Okay, so let's wander down the road here and see what else we can see. And at this section right here, we come through this amphibelite, and we walk down, and you can start to see it on the outcrop in here. The character of the rock has changed. So we've changed the lithology or a rock type. And right now in front of us, we're looking at a Philite, which is just a fine-grained metamorphic rock. And what you're seeing is, again, this real near vertical type of a pattern. That is the, we call that foliation. That's alignment of mineral grains that reorient themselves during the metamorphic process. So it kind of looks like bedding is what it would appear to be, but it's the mineral grain alignment. And then this rock has all been stood up from flat line to nearly vertical during the uplift of the Black Hills. You can see that it's still highly fractured, the same as that amphibolite was. So you got all these fractures going through here. So the protolith, or the original rock type for this Philite, was a mud. And so the amphibolite back here was a basalt. And then on top of the basalt, mud settled out and deposited on top of the basalt flow. And then when it was metamorphosed, we have the amphibolite then with the Philite on top of it. And then we move back into another band, starting right in here somewhere, down through this, most of this outcrop in here. A lot of this is amphibolite as well. So smaller basalt flows with muds on top of them. So we don't know how thick any of these units were before they were metamorphosed. You know, thousands of feet for sure, and quite possibly tens of thousands of feet in the entire sequence. And then they were metamorphosed, which changes them into a different rock type. And then they were stood up on its end and folded and refolded and folded again many times during the uplift of the Black Hills. Okay, so now we're getting into something else. This is a really highly weathered material here. It's the Philite type of material. You can see it, I can just flake it up with my walking stick. So very, very fine grain and very weak and weathered. And then sandwiched right in between this, right in here, this little outcrop right here, these real thin sheets. Okay, again, you can see they're near vertical standing. Fractures are still in here. But this material is a marble. This is called I believe it's the Blue Draw marble. And a marble is metamorphic limestone. So this sequence of rocks then that we looked here was a basalt flow, and then with mud on top of the basalt, a little more basalt, more mud, basalt, more mud. And then a limestone was deposited on top of that sequence. And then as it was metamorphosed, the entire sequence, then we have an amphibolite with philites, amphibolites, philites, amphibolites, and then into a marble in here. So let's take a look at this. See what this looks like. Let's come down here where I can get up here. So this is kind of a pink color right here, and as I rotate it around in the sun, I can see all the little crystal faces glinting in the sun. So this is crystalline, which marble is. So a pretty interesting rock. Over the hill up here and away, a mile to the north of us, there is an old mine in this material from the late 1800s, maybe early 1900s. And this is kind of pinkish here. There's pockets over there that are actually blue, kind of a gray and white. So a lot of different color bands in this material. So we'll take this back and look at it through the microscope later.